Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Sonic Adventure DX-ish. In the last part we started off Knuckles' campaign and got through his first two stages, and now we're in Red Mountain, which is probably his largest stage, period. Large emerald hunting stages like this in SA 1 and 2 can be relatively overwhelming, as they can spread the emeralds pretty far between, and thus picking them up on the radar can be a bit of a trial in and of itself. With that said, I don't mind Red Mountain as much as I do certain other large emerald hunting stages in SA 2, if only because the tracts of land you're actively finding the emeralds on are relatively thin enough that it's not too overwhelming. With that said, I'd still say this is probably going to be the stage some people are in the longest out of any of Knuckles' stages. The thing you gotta keep in mind too is now that we actively have the digging claws we got towards the end of the last part, Knuckles can dig into any tract of land, so look for any rings of rings, circles of rings I guess more accurately, or otherwise seemingly suspicious land to potentially dig into if you're close to where an emerald should be but you can't quite find it, as there's a pretty good chance it's probably going to be hidden in the ground directly. More so than the other stages, gliding is going to be your best friend here, as in the case you're going over a wide area, there's a chance you'll see just the briefest blip about one of the emeralds you're potentially missing, or the one you're missing in the case you're having trouble finding the last one. Or especially circling the largest structure in the distance over there will help, as that is a large enough structure where I think standing at the top of it won't show you emeralds that are near the bottom of it on the radar, so just circling that could potentially help clean up anything you're potentially missing as well. Otherwise, in the case you're having trouble, just use the red fairies. They're going to help you a lot. The only annoying thing in this particular stage is in the case they pass through a tower like that one just did. You're given a general idea of the vicinity, but some of the information is still technically lost. That's probably why they ultimately made the hints in Venture 2 the hint monitors that gave you more of a text-based hint than doing this, as the text isn't gonna usually mess with you. Usually, there's one stage it technically does, technically even two, I think, but I'll save that rant for Sonic Adventure 2, and my great dislike for its emerald hunting stages. Now, I should note, I actually really do like the emerald hunting stages as a concept. Exploring level design and actually looking at set pieces and using them as potential hints to find things, I think is an interesting idea that can be really well done, and I think Sonic Adventure 1 gets really close to nailing it. It's just that sometimes the scale's a little off, or the way they use set piecing within it's a little rougher. In that regard, I think SA2 does do emerald hunting better, as the way they use the set pieces, I think, is more interesting. It's just that sometimes the gimmicks, stage design, or otherwise process of the search for the emeralds in SA2 can be a lot more annoying. And it's partially due to the score system's implementation in SA2 Beyond, but I'll save that topic much more in depth for when we eventually get to SA2. With Red Mountain done, though, they don't exactly immediately give us a direction, so you can either go talk to the Red Fairy, that I think is to the right of the Red Mountain entrance facing away from it, or you can just head on over to Main Mystic Ruins, because there's always some hints on what to do over here.
For Station Square will be departing soon.
Though, if you just try exploring this area, even remotely, you'll get sucked into a cutscene pretty quick, because if you think about where we should be in the Sonic and Tails campaigns, we're at a pretty specific point. Sorry, sir, just keep trying to punch you. Sonic headed for the waterfall, huh? Ah, it's time for this.
There's Sonic! Eggman was right. What's that in his hand? It looks like a piece of the Master Emerald. He has no right to have that.
Hey, Knuckles! Whoa! What do you think you're doing?
All right. Put him up. Hand over the emerald now.
That's not gonna happen, buddy!
Third round, technically the same as the first.
Oh no!
Sonic is a little harder to fight than Knuckles is, if only because Knuckles' attacks are pretty limited in range, but 3 shots still, and it's very quick.
Oh, jeez! Oh no, the Chaos Emerald!
Eggman! What's he doing here?
Uh-oh!
That's all there is to it. You guys are too easy.
That's a Chaos Emerald.
First come, first served, they say. And you serve me too well for your own good.
You can't get away with this! Knuckles, did you let him trick you again?
Like you weren't.
Smooth move, Knucklehead.
I've got 4 emeralds now. Here, Chaos. Come here, my humble.
Now look what he is!
No problem. I'll make him eat dirt.
Round 3 against Chaos 4, same shtick. Got the wave attack and hit you on the ground. If you're in the water too long, you take damage. Are you tired of this fight yet across these 3 campaigns? Because I am. In that regard, you could theoretically make this fight a little more spread out by, say, doing Sonic's campaign, then doing, like, Big, Amy, or Gamma's, then Tails, and then one of the other 2, and then Knuckles, and some pattern like that, but they really need to do something more to distinctify these 3 fights against Chaos 4 to make better use of the abilities, because it's the same thing we had to do with Tails here. You can either just jump on the head or glide into it to do the damage, but the fight itself is uninteresting at this point, because you've already done it twice if you're going through them in campaign unlock order. It's one of the just bigger question marks on the game, but at the same time, again, it's like the game came out in 1998, and there weren't a lot of games at this point that had several characters working together in some form to interweave a longer narrative to this quite extent. The game is incredibly ambitious for 1998 in that regard. It's just that there's a lot of blemishes that show up because of when they attempted to do that ambition, if that makes sense. And again, I think I mentioned this in like the Tails version of this fight. I don't mind refighting the same boss across multiple characters. It just depends on what the boss is. Like Egg Hornet, I think is fine. Chaos 4 is one of the slowest bosses in the game, and thus you really feel that weight a lot. Thankfully, this is the last time we actually have to fight Chaos 4, so we are about to be free from this monstrosity for the rest of time. There actually is a very cool story in my eyes about Chaos's character design, but given how low we are on time in this boss fight already, I'll save that for like an upcoming level towards the end of the campaign or something along those lines, because it is really neat, albeit in some regards it also shows the date that this game came out, but I'll save that topic for when we get to it. Also, Knuckles, how are you standing on the no longer jellified water? Knuckles, are you Jesus? I knew it.
Behold my flying fortress, my creation, the Egg Carrier. Beware, Chaos's true power is yet to be unleashed. We shall meet again!
Hurry, Sonic! What are we waiting for? My workshop's closed, so let's get the tornado and go after him.
Good idea!
Hey, Sonic. You go on ahead without me. I have some things I need to take care of.
No problem, Knuckles. We'll take care of everything here. Let's move!
What are those things Knuckles needs to go do? Good question, he's keeping those to himself. but we as players can get a pretty good hint by talking to the NPCs that are here in Mystic Ruins. Namely, the jungle itself is now open, so there's probably something we can do in that general direction as Knuckles at this point. In fact, there's actually 2 notable points of interest over there for us. So let's jump onto the minecart and head on over there. Tails already had some pretty fun movement you could do in the jungle because you could just fly on top of the trees and walk on top of them. Knuckles can do that to an even bigger extent because, for one thing, his glide will go until you let go of it. Or until you hit the ground, but also you could just climb on the walls and ignore the paths to begin with. In fact, we want to do that because you may have already noticed, if you were keen-eyed in other playthroughs, that there's these platforms up here near Big's house. Knuckles' second power-up, his optional one, is up here. Not that you really need it.
Now you've got fighting gloves. To store up power, hold down the action button. Now you can do the maximum heat Knuckles attack.
Hold back, the Sonic Shorts reference me. Hold back, the Sonic Shorts references me. So, the maximum heat Knuckles attack the fighting gloves give us is Knuckles' version of the lightspeed attack we got as Sonic before entering Red Mountain. You hold down the punch button, energy will collate around Knuckles until it dings, at which point you can unleash it and you'll home in on enemies in a row for some pretty quick kills. But it takes just awkwardly long enough to charge that I just prefer to punch enemies outright or ignore them. Sonic had a similar issue with the lightspeed attack, but at least you could get the ring to speed up the lightspeed dash's charge as him to begin with. Knuckles doesn't get that kind of bonus. The one use I actively always have for the fighting gloves is technically, I believe, an abuse of hitboxes during one specific boss fight for him, but I'll save that topic for the end of his campaign. For right now, Knuckles' next stage is actively Lost World, but in order to enter it, we need to get some keys, place them on the back of the main monument here. These little balls open up into echidna statues when you approach with one of the keys, but you do not need to place the keys near them. It is a panel on the back of the monument. The gold key we have right now is found always at the entrance to the jungle near the minecart. The silver key we need is hidden in the jungle itself, and with how unhelpful the map can be depending on which version you're playing, finding it can be a little bit of a task. However, I think in either of the 2 playthroughs we've already done at this point in the LP, I've already accidentally showcased where that key is. It's even closer to where you need to put it than the gold key is. Just go out the side entrance towards where the monument is, head around here to this little stone gate, and there is another platform you can dig into with Knuckles' digging gloves, and that will get you the silver key. Because I didn't know about the map and the pause menu on my first playthrough, finding this alone took me like 10-15 minutes on my first playthrough. Because the jungle is samey enough that you might have noticed already in the playthroughs we've done, I constantly check the map to make sure I know exactly where I am. This place is maze-like, and it's meant to be that in lore, but it's annoying to get from stage to stage because of that. And thus, with both keys in place, once the door is open, we can access Knuckles' Lost World. Although I fell in a little too early, so technically I fell below the entrance before it spawned in, so let's just jump in and out, and there we go. The Lost World can be a level that takes you a minute, it can take you 5. It really just depends on where the emeralds spawn in this case, as in this case we actually got 2 of them on our radar at the very start. Now, from my experience, there's one set of emeralds I actively really dislike in this stage, and it's over in the little sand room on the bottom floor to, I think, the right from where you spawn in. Because they're hidden in the sand, but digging things out of the ground in this game is both very generous and weirdly precise, depending on what you're digging up. Sometimes you'll get it from a pretty good distance away. Other times you need to be so on the money with it that it's actively annoying. I've had runs where if I see an emerald in that room, I leave and re-enter the stage just to spawn it elsewhere, because I dislike those that much. Thankfully on this run, I got very lucky and they were all pretty quick to find. Mind you, that's the gamut you run in Knuckles' stages in Sonic Adventure 1 and 2. Sometimes you just get lucky and they're placed pretty close together. Other times you're roaming for upwards of 10, 15, 20 minutes in some cases in Adventure 2 stages, but I'll save that topic for then.
Where am I? This is very strange.
Again, very weird underreactions whenever someone gets thrown over here. So something I actually haven't showcased yet. The Master Emerald Shrine in this area and the city area are connected by this door. There's only really one time you need to know that's there, but it's worth noting all the same because you might get lost for a couple minutes if you don't realize that on a first run.
I beg of you, hear me now. My father is coming here soon, and I fear what may happen. You must take everyone away from here. Oh, please. So, are you saying you can't leave this place? I understand. Let me talk to my father again. There must be a better way to do this. Don't worry, my friends. I won't let you down. I must do something quickly.
What? I'm back in front of the altar. This is beginning to blow my mind. Wait a minute, I remember. The broken pieces of the Master Emerald. I have to restore them to where they belong. It's still incomplete. I need to find the remaining pieces, wherever they are. Hey! Look! It's Eggman's flying fortress. That's where the rest of the pieces must be. But I don't know where that ship is. Hey, isn't that one of Eggman's robots? I know. I'll follow it back to Eggman's base. Here I come, Eggman.
Getting a little ahead of myself because we're not in his campaign yet, of course. But Gamma's character theme from that cutscene is my favorite character theme in the game. It's just such easy listening. I love it so much. So at this point, we need to follow Gamma down to wherever he went because he'll hopefully lead us towards the egg carrier as Knuckles. Though the NPCs themselves will also help you along the way. Our goal is at the jungle once again. But because I haven't mentioned it yet, Gamma's actually the only voice actor I haven't talked about the work of prior. Gamma in this is voiced by Steve Brody, who also voiced him in Sonic Shuffle. He's some characters in that Evil Dead game from the turn of the millennium that's really bad. He's the president in SA2. He's some characters in a Frogger game from around 2001. But I probably know him best outside of his role as Gamma as Michael Reynolds in Illbleed, which is a game I really have to tackle at some point. That's just such a unique little horror game. But with that, I'm going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 13, we're going to go wrap up Knuckles' campaign. See you guys then.